Thank you all for being here today. We will give everyone 2 more minutes to log on, 2 more minutes. And thank you to everyone who has logged on so far. Gonna give everyone 1 more minute to log on. We have a lot of people from all over the US. I see Vegas, Nashville, Raleigh, welcome. Excellent. We'll go ahead on and get started. Again, thank you all for being here today. My name is Dr. Jasmine Kelly, and I'm excited to moderate this great conversation about summer bridge programs. We have a wonderful group of resource experts here with us, as you can see. But before I turn the floor over to them, I want to share a couple of resources with you. First, this webinar is being live streamed on Facebook for those who want to join us on that platform. Additionally, closed captioning is available by clicking the button on the bottom of the screen. To follow along on Twitter, please use the hashtag #PostPathways. Lastly, we will open the floor for Q&A, so please make sure to remember to submit questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. And with that, I'm very excited to dive into this conversation, but before I do, I would like to quickly set the stage for today's discussion. Summer bridge programs are designed to ease the transition to college and support post-secondary success by providing students with the academic and social skills needed to be successful in a college environment. These programs are critical because so often students, particularly those from low income and underrepresented racial populations, experience what is known as summer melt, or when a student who was seemingly college intending fails to enroll at all in the fall after high school graduation. These summer bridge programs bridge that time period between high school and college by offering an in-depth orientation to college life, academic advising, and skills such as time management. Summer bridge programs at times can even include academic credit. These summer bridge programs are shown to have positive effects on post-secondary success. So in today's conversation, we want to really dive into what different types of bridge programs look like and how they can be tailored to specific student populations based on the institution and best practices in bridge programs. So let's start the conversation. Dr. David Hood is the Associate Provost for Undergraduate Education and the founding Dean of University College at Montclair State University, where he has a broad responsibility to ensure a high-quality undergraduate education and student success and completion. Dr. Hood, thank you for being here with us today. Can you tell us a little more about your career as student affairs professional for more than 15 years and your experience working with summer bridge programs?
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Thank you for the Hunt Institute for inviting me to the conversation. As Dr. Kelly indicated, I have been working in higher ed for the past 15 years at a diverse type of institutions. from very small private historically Black colleges with an enrollment of about 1,000 students to a very large national university at Montclair State University that serves over 21,000 students, 16,000 of which are undergraduate populations. But I spent most of my time in my higher ed career at North Carolina Central University, which is also a historically Black college and university that serves about 8,000 students. And it was there where I really delved into the summer bridge work and those pre-college programs, and working in a program there that was called the Aspiring Eagles Academy, which was born out of legislation in the state of North Carolina that was really starting to look at students who were underprepared and did not have access to the college pathway. And the legislation provided funding for 5 campuses across the UNC system to have bridge programs. And that's what I will focus my conversation around as we have the discussion today.
Thank you, Dr. Hood. Again, I just wanted to remind everyone that we will have a Q&A portion in a little while. So please submit any questions that you may have in the Q&A function in the webinar. Dr. Maricela Rodriguez Tiarina is the interim president at Laredo College, which serves more than 10,000 students across 2 campuses. Dr. Tiarina, we are so glad that you're able to join us today. Can you tell us a little more about the students you serve at Laredo College and the work you all do to create a sense of belonging for new students on campus?
Thank you, Dr. Kelly, and to all my colleagues and the Hunt Institute for this great conversation. At Laredo College, it is a Hispanic serving institution located in Laredo, Texas. We are literally on the border of Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, and Laredo, Texas. We average anywhere from 6,096 total undergraduate for first-time enrollment, with a total in the fall was 9,984. And in the spring, we had 6,133 first-time enrollment, with a total of 11,391 total students, with a total population being nearly 97% Hispanic. We have about 42% male population and 57% female population for our overall student body. Today, I will be discussing our STEM grant, which is called the LEAPS project. And by no means am I taking credit over the name. We have great employees who are very creative. LEAPS stands for Leadership Excellence Academic Preparation STEM. And so it's funded by the US Department of Education, Title III, but we've implemented a lot of strategies to help increase STEM access and student success. The LEAPS project takes it to the next level through evidence-based research to increase the knowledge on successful strategies for Hispanic STEM students. This is definitely aligned with our college strategic plan, which focuses on student success and, of course, ensuring students have adequate access and support for the achievement, completion, and success of their educational goals. As part of the requirements, these students must be enrolled full-time for the upcoming fall semester when they enter the STEM Bridge program, be college ready by completing the Texas Success Initiative, the TSI, and have a GPA of a 2.5 or higher. They also have to complete a financial aid application. The Summer Bridge programs can range anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. In these sessions, they're exposed to STEM faculty. They get to be connected with STEM faculty, advisors, coordinators, and counselors. They conduct a lot of hands-on activities and experiments, not only in classrooms, but in our outside settings. We create a sense of belonging by creating a cohort in which students start to begin friendships that go beyond the Summer Bridge program. They get to register together and start taking classes together. Each Summer Bridge is composed of many challenges and competitions, which students love. And at the end, what we find is that a lot of them that come in very reserved and lack of confidence, they leave the Summer Bridge with a lot of motivation, engagement in campus life and classroom settings. And most importantly, it helps create or enhance their critical thinking, communication, and most importantly, their teamwork abilities, which all help students develop their interpersonal relationships and leadership. So eventually the introverts will convert into extroverts. And as I mentioned earlier, they have a lot of STEM related activities. They qualify at the end for a $500 stipend, but we definitely give them backpacks, supplies, laptops, scholarship opportunities, internships, and even travel opportunities that I'll later talk about. So in summary, all these activities, as well as connecting them to STEM faculty, STEM advisors, counselors, and even campus administration, allow the students to feel welcome and help them build that sense of belonging.
Thank you, Dr. Tiarina, for sharing with us that wonderful program. It's been shown that student connections amongst each other contribute greatly to retention, and a lot of special relationships are formed during summer bridge programs. So thank you for that perspective. Next is Victoria Chavis. She's the coordinator of the co-curricular and academic engagement for Summer Bridge at Carolina First for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Victoria, thanks so much for joining us. Could you please tell us more about Summer Bridge and Carolina First and how you support these specific students?
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Yes, I coordinate the UNC Summer Bridge program, which is a 6-week summer transition program. We admit any North Carolina residents who have been admitted to UNC Chapel Hill and complete an application to join us for the summer. Our cohorts have ranged from 40 to 80 over the last 10 years, depending on participation and funding resources. Our students take a couple of classes, but also connect with on-campus resources, tour campus, and receive a stipend for participating in the program. I also coordinate efforts for Carolina First, which is our first generation college student support programming. Through that, I am the faculty staff advisor for the First Gen Student Association. We have also begun a chapter of Tri Alpha Honor Society for first generation students. And our definition broadly is that a first generation college student is a student that neither parent has earned a 4-year degree in the United States. So I coordinate monthly programming and sometimes specific and targeted events for this population.
Thank you, Victoria. I wanted to remind everyone that if you have questions, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A portion of the webinar, please, as we welcome them. Dr. Hood, could you please tell us more about why summer bridge programs are important, especially those that award academic credit during the bridge session?
Absolutely. And I'm going to take a point of personal privilege also to go back and to color in the lines a little bit more about the Aspiring Eagles Academy. I failed the assignment, participants. So the Aspiring Eagles Academy, it was rebranded or relaunched back in 2011 at North Carolina Central University. Prior to it, it was a very, it functioned from a deficit approach. Prior to 2011, there was a total redesign and rebrand of the program where we were building upon students' strengths. And the program is a 5-week residential program where we, from 2011 up to 2017, the program admitted 40 students who I previously indicated to you either did not meet the GPA or the SAT, ACT requirements for the institution. And otherwise would not have been admissible to the institution. So this was a way in which the students could demonstrate that they were college ready. They would take 8 credits during the summer, English, their freshman English or composition course, their college algebra course, as well as their first year seminar course. We hand selected the faculty members to teach in this course because we really believe that the faculty members must have a philosophical approach to teaching and learning that aligned with the designed outcomes of the program. And we all know that, faculty are all great, but we know that some of them have superpowers to work with students who typically you would find in a summer bridge program. Not only was it academic preparation, but it was also preparation to learn how to navigate the entire campus. So navigating the residential life component, also navigating all of the offices that a student would come in contact with during a normal matriculation, and then navigating the extracurricular or the co-curricular activities on campus. So we ensure that these students were equipped and prepared to run for freshman class office, to join clubs and organizations, because we know that students who are engaged in multiple touch points across the campus, those students are more likely to excel and to be retained and to graduate in a timely manner. We also embedded into our program cultural exposure. So we did a lot of local cultural exposure, as well as we would take an end of the summer national trip with each cohort. This would be the first time that many of these students would have left the state of North Carolina. All of our participants up until 2017 were all North Carolina residents. At that time, we were able to open the participation to the program up to non-state residents, because we were no longer receiving only state funding. We were fundraising and writing grants for the program. So that allowed us to be able to have non-state residents to participate in the program. One of the distinguishing factors about our Summer Bridge program is that it was not, I'm no longer there, it was not just a summer program, but it was a program where we mentored and we followed these students all 4 years of their matriculation at the institution. They had mandatory study hall throughout the academic year, as well as their first and second year. The first year they were required to stay in a living learning community. And the second year it was optional for them to remain in the community. And we saw many of the students continuing on in that community. I think that summer bridge programs that offer credit are very valuable. Number one, I think that it decreases students' time to degree. And so we know that decreasing time to degree, that also impacts the amount of debt that students are accumulating. I think for this particular population of students that we decided to deal with at North Carolina Central, I think it also provided them with the confidence and the self-efficacy that they needed to be able to understand that they could do college. For many of them, these were still first generation students. They had parents who were excited about them coming to college, but they really didn't know how to help them to do college. And so we really helped them learn how to do college. And it gave them that 5 weeks in the summer to really understand the campus and how to navigate it before the other 1,000 or 1,200 students who were going to be joining them in the fall would get there. So they already had a good understanding of who their dean, who their department chair were, who the SGA president was going to be that year, who the Royal Court, that's really big at HBCUs, the Royal Court and all of that. So understanding and having that social capital of knowing the upperclassmen and having that mentor, each of our, we had mentors that were assigned, one mentor for every 6 to 8 students. And so that person had a upperclassman, typically a junior or a senior, who was able to guide them through that freshman year. So not only is it about the academic preparation and ensuring that they're able to successfully complete college level courses, but it also was about that social connection to the institution and that co-curricular connection to the institution that really, really proved to be positive at North Carolina Central University.
Thank you for that, Dr. Hood. Self-efficacy and underrepresented students go hand in hand. And I always like to say about summer bridge programs, it is a robust head start where for students, you have a lot of good things coming at them. And I think it's wonderful with your program. Oftentimes, as you all know, that with summer bridge programs, you have a lot of informal connections that are made where students help sustain amongst one another and amongst faculty and staff. However, I think it's amazing that you all have those formal systems in place to track those students. So great job there. Dr. Maricela Rodriguez Tiarina, can you please tell us more about the Laredo College Summer STEM program and why exposing students to STEM is so critical to student success?
Well, just like Dr. Hood just mentioned, we also have first-time college students and first-time college students entering STEM programs, which, you know, as we all know, stereotypically, you know, it's a hard discipline or a hard field to enter. So they already come with the scare, right, of being the first generation student to be here, plus you're entering a field that theoretically or stereotypically you're going to fail. So that's the stigma we try to erase from a student's mind, is trying to convert that into a positive learning environment so that they ease their anxiety and their fears. But going back to the Title III, Leadership Excellence Academic Preparation in STEM, which we know as LEAPS grant, introduces a summer program for incoming Laredo College students so that they can increase their awareness, their persistence, and their completion in STEM fields. The LEAP Summer Bridge program is designed to offer a close-knit STEM community college experience. We use a summer model derived from the model of effective summer bridge programs published in 2017, which is to connect to pop culture, physical and digital interaction, consistent use of media, and implementation and gamification. Some of the themes we've used in the past, and again, I will not take ownership of this, but we have a great team of students and employees that come up with these amazing themes. And again, a theme that students can relate to. So in 2013, all the way to 2016, we used the Hunger Games. It was such a popular theme that everybody just kept wanting. Then in 2017, they adopted the Game of Thrones. 2018, Harry Potter. 2019, Marvel. 2020, it had to be virtual, as we all know. We had to experience the whole pandemic and doing a lot of things virtual, but that certainly didn't stop us from doing summer bridge programs. And in 2021, we had the Summer Olympics. But the overall outcome of these LEAP Summer Bridge program activity, it has many components. One of the objectives is to increase STEM experience, confidence, inspiration through intensive hands-on STEM-related activities, personalized STEM career education and exploration. Some of the things that we practice here at Laredo College due to the Texas Pathways project of the Student Success Center is that we try to group them with their respective career paths also. And we have about 5 different career pathways here at Laredo College. And secondly, we strengthen students' academic and personal skills. They have to do undergraduate research in the time that they serve here at Laredo College. So throughout the semesters, they're assigned a faculty member, and we have a lot of motivated STEM faculty that help these students because then they have to create symposiums at the end of every semester. And they do the presentations, and it's an all-day event. And thirdly, they provide what we do in the summer bridge and throughout their experience here at the college is provide an early start on STEM coursework, lab research, faculty interaction, as I mentioned earlier, leaping into Laredo's college environment. So not just the academic part, but the student services, the policies, campus life that they can participate in. So these students participate in first-hand STEM and college readiness related activities. Some of the science sessions that they're exposed to in the summer bridge are biology, chemistry, any allied health services. In the technologies, we do CAD, 3D printing. It's amazing what they design, drafting, drones. We also have a cybersecurity institute here, and we also our dark web or our little scenario, we have a partnership with the University of Texas in San Antonio. So students get to see, live attacks and try to solve problems on how to resolve those. And those are in the Cybersecurity Institute. So at that moment, when they see that exposure, they're drawn in. Maybe they may have come in with a different major, but once they're exposed early on to the different programs that we have, they might end up changing their minds. Then we have for math sessions, anywhere from algebra, pre-cal, trig, and most importantly, statistics. Laredo College campus tour is also available not only for them, but for their parents, so maybe even siblings. Test taking tips, time management, and also student etiquette. So participants in the summer program, as I mentioned earlier, they receive a stipend as well as many other supplies. And in addition, participants receive their advisor. So throughout their experience, they get used to this advisor, and that's where it comes back to having that person they can rely on. That also helps in creating a sense of belonging. And during the year, as I mentioned earlier, they do conduct research with a respective faculty member, and they conduct the symposium at the end of every semester. Some are also willing to participate or take advantage of the travel opportunities that we have in this program. So for example, we are taking 8 students to Washington, D.C. to attend the Connect UR conference at the end of June. And then another conference that the students just applied to present their research is at the LSPHC Models Diversity in STEM Conference, which is in New Orleans this summer. So they're waiting in anticipation and in hopes that their proposals get selected. So we're waiting on that. But the point of all this is that early on, they come with a lot of anxiety and they're just anxious, and once you see them once they go along with the program, it's really amazing to see them at the end go and present their research and be confident. So that's pretty much in perspective, what we define as this bridge program to help with the success of, especially in STEM fields.
Thank you for that, Dr. Tiarina. You all have some really cool themes from year to year, so I can imagine that keeps the students really engaged. And what a cool opportunity, especially for STEM, that they can come into college the summer before already attending a conference and presenting. So those are some really cool skills to have in the beginning. Thank you. I wanted to remind participants to please submit your Q&As to the function in this excuse me, in the webinar, please. I see the questions coming in, so please keep them coming. Victoria, part of Summer Bridge programs is not just the classroom experience, but also that experience outside the classroom. Can you tell us more about who students are exposed to in community culture through your through your program?
Yes, I can. Thank you. And as a kind of like Dr. Hood did, I'm gonna go off script for a minute and share that I was a participant of the Summer Bridge program at UNC Chapel Hill. So I'm speaking from the experience of having participated as a student, but now being the program coordinator for over 5 years. We connect our students to a lot of on-campus resources like our Writing and Learning Center, the Office of Undergraduate Research. UNC has a large campaign focused on arts everywhere. So we always connect with like our theater group and the Ackland Museum. We've taken experiential learning trips to the Civil Rights Museum, the North Carolina Museum of History. So we do a variety of things. I do think that, the courses are very beneficial, especially that time to degree piece. But UNC Chapel Hill is a large Research One institution. So in some ways, that early exposure to being on campus and being familiar with campus, taking the tours, learning how to operate the bus system, especially in a majority rural state like North Carolina is, where I did not grow up with public transportation or knowing how to use public transportation. So there's a lot of those skills that we expose students to during their 6 weeks of summer bridge. And I can share that I participated in bridge over a decade ago and remain friends with a lot of the people in the cohort that I was with that summer. And so I think the emotional and social connections that we make with fellow bridgies, making friends, lifelong connections, also the faculty, like Dr. Hood mentioned, we take time and attention to focus on who we're hiring to teach our students. It's a very racially diverse group. Even though UNC Chapel Hill is a large, predominantly white institution, our students tend to be racially minoritized students or students from low income backgrounds. So we definitely, pay time and attention to having culturally humble and culturally sensitive faculty members working with our students.
Thank you, Victoria. This question is for all the panelists. How can we foster a better sense of belonging to continue outside of these bridge programs?
I think one of the most successful models nationally that we're seeing is some form of peer mentoring. I think it is twofold. I think it provides a twofold effect. I think the first thing that it does is that it immediately connects those first year students who who are coming into campuses that they know nothing about. For the most part, it really provides them to a meaningful connection. I think some successful ways that you have seen those peer mentoring operations implemented, they could be around special interests. So you might have an upperclassman band student connected to a freshman band student, or upper class football player connected to a freshman football player, or it could be around major of study, which you really want to help those students to learn how to navigate the major at the campus. I think that in turn, it also keeps the juniors and seniors really grounded and connected to the institution as well, because when you get into that junior and senior year, you're starting to see that, hey, I'm at the end, and your engagement can sometimes fall off. Whereas, freshman year and sophomore year, you're really engaged, you're doing everything, you're in every club, every organization. And then junior, senior year, you start working, you start doing more internship-based types of opportunities that kind of start helping you to focus externally. But I think it pulls those students back into the institution. And I think it also instills in them a sense of very early on learning how to give back to the institution that has given so much to them. And so it really starts that sense of philanthropy, that thought process of philanthropy. So that's been one of the most effective ways that I think you spur engagement and belongingness. There are models such as the one at Morehouse and Spelman, where mentoring from upperclassmen is it's a part. It used to be a part of their graduation requirement. I'm not sure how the program is structured now, but I know in the early years it was a graduation requirement. And so just as many of your institutions have embraced community service as a part of its graduation requirements, or some type of research or scholarly activity as a part of graduation, that is something that you might want to consider is embedding some type of peer mentoring. Currently at Montclair State University, we have what I call our University Fellows program. And every first year student is connected to an upperclassman mentor through our first year seminar course. It is a grant funded initiative that we were able to embed in 2 of our grants, into our Title III grant that we received from the U.S. Department of Education, strengthening institutional programs, as well as in a recent a REPO grant that we received, where we're partnering with Alcorn State University and Albany State University, and we're helping them to build mentoring programs for their first year seminar courses, as well as we're expanding ours. So we're able to hire more mentors Our mentors receive a stipend of $500 for the year, and they get an iPad, which is used to actually do their work and to log their interactions and to navigate our student advising and early alert platform.
If I may, just to reiterate what Dr. Hood mentioned, I think peer mentorship is so important. One of the things that we're starting here at Laredo College, they're called information sessions. And what we do in these information sessions is not just faculty talking about the programs, but we also bring in our current students, so that way the current students can share their personal stories to possibly incoming students. The other thing that has worked out is that because of our strong external advisory group, sometimes we bring stakeholders, from the industry, from the business and industry, coming in and talking about the actual career and their salaries and the opportunities. And I think just that holistic session helps incoming students just see the big picture and the personal stories too. And they just keep booming in our institution. And there we invite parents, sometimes even siblings, but most importantly, we want students to feel comfortable with that decision, because making a decision, as Dr. Hood, I believe Dr. Hood mentioned, we don't want them to be wasting their time and energy, and especially with their financial aid, we want to make sure that when they select that program, that they're truly invested for the long run, of it. What I would suggest also that has helped for us, I don't know about other schools, is that we have such a high influx of dual enrollment students. So 50% of our student population is dual. So what we try to do is the different pathways of, when a dual student enters our college or transitions to being a full-time college here once they graduate from high school. We also look at pathways of our continuing ed programs and bridging them into the credit side, and how to create a sense of belonging for them. And then, of course, our traditional students. And even with our traditional students, you have some coming straight out of high school. You have some that have not been in school for the past, for whatever reason, they dropped out and then came back. So it's really trying to identify all your student populations and how can you build a sense of belonging for all. I will say that the other thing we have evolved in, and I will say, I visited Austin Community College, and the accelerator, if you all don't know about that, is such an interesting concept. It's a huge learning space, and we are wanting or going to develop what we call the class. The library is going to be called the class now. And the class is the center of learning, academic, and student success. And there we intend, just like ACC, to have tutors, faculty, counselors, just depending on whatever the student needs, the support is going to be there, because it is overwhelming for a first-time student, right, to be going from building to building, and it could be so overwhelming. That's the first thing high school students will tell you when they come visit a campus, is that they're overwhelmed, right? And where do I find that space that I can help? Is it that building or that building? So when you develop these space where there's that support, especially for community college students, it tends to help, again, ease the anxiety. And the other most important thing is also, we created the Center of Teaching and Excellence about a year and a half ago. And part of that goal is to help also bridge those gaps of, getting faculty to be more empathetic and sensitive towards students' needs.
Thank you.
I'll just quickly jump in with the first question that we were asked about measuring belonging, relationships, and persistence. I do the typical, retention rates. We track that every year. Graduation rates, track that every year. We're actually, for the first time, going to reach a 100% graduation rate with one of our cohorts. So we're really excited about things like that. But I have also worked in the past 5 years as the coordinator to establish programming that we call Beyond the Bridge. And so we do monthly gatherings and newsletters for our students. And a lot of the connections that we made for the students that we facilitated for the students with our campus resources, they continue into the academic year. So our Learning Center does data tracking for how many bridges stop by and utilize their services, how many students are involved in completing undergraduate research, how many students end up being involved in the honors college at UNC Chapel Hill. So I have access to requesting data reports. So a lot of it is data reports, but we also do a pre and post survey. So pre-engagement with Summer Bridge and on their very first day before they even begin classes. And then on the final day of classes after they've taken their last exam, we do a post-assessment survey that's a bit more qualitative in data collection so that I can learn about specific experiences. It also gives me feedback for making adjustments for the future cohorts.
Thank you, Victoria. And we're going to jump into the remainder of the questions from the participants. So we have one, hello from Rhode Island College. Do you ever suggest your students take Clep exams to save money and or time during your bridge programs?
I'll start off with mine, and Dr. Tijerina from Laredo College. We don't. Our summer bridge are strictly non-credit, just supplemental activities to help them bridge into. Now, students could be taking summer session courses by all means during that time, but we do have a dedicated time and space where they need to do that. But no, we don't issue any credit, but we certainly help them bridge into the credit courses.
We also don't, I also do not necessarily specifically encourage those placement exams and things along those lines, because the courses we are offering for credit are usually introductory courses. So it's your college algebra, a prep course for chemistry, and the English course required for all first year students. And as mentioned earlier, a lot of our students at UNC Chapel Hill, they have completed a lot of dual enrollment courses with North Carolina community colleges. And because the North Carolina community colleges and UNC system work together, there's an articulation agreement that allows the credits at the community college to guarantee transfer to the university. So taking the placement exams is not as pertinent for our students if they have been in those dual enrollment courses, or also just because we're offering a lot of introductory courses during the bridge program.
I will say that historically at North Carolina Central, we did not, just simply because of the program model and the population that we were serving. These were students who needed some strong foundational development to be able to continue in their undergraduate matriculation. So for that reason, we did not. But as we have moved into more recent years, the profile of the student is changing because we are focusing more on all of our student population and not just those students who were access challenged. So that may be something that they will begin to do in future years in the program. And we don't currently recommend or promote the placement exams for our students at Montclair State.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question. The discussion focused on facilitating student academic success and adjustment to the college experience. As we know, even though parents may not have attended college, they still want to be a part of their son and or daughter's education. What or how do you involve their parents or guardians into your programs?
Absolutely, I'll jump in. So we kick our program off with at North Carolina Central with a welcome program where we are walking parents through the very detailed nature of the program. We invite parents to become ambassadors of the program, to go back to their communities, to tell their communities about the wonderful opportunities that are happening to share it with their employers that may do matching contributions as a way to, their students are getting what I would tell them, you're getting about a $5,000 experience over that 5-week summer program for free. So the very minimum that you can do is to invest. And I got that model from when I was a middle school principal and elementary principal, where we asked parents to invest in their child's future. And so we don't, just because the program was funded by the state of North Carolina, we don't let parents off the hook. We strongly help them to see the value in what their students are receiving from the state of North Carolina. And we ask them to invest and to go out and to be partners with us. Recently, the program director, Dr. Quinicia Price, who is now leading that program, she has gone so far as, and mainly because of the pandemic, she felt the need to engage parents more intentionally, and she's been holding weekly debriefs with the parents virtually, just to let them know how their students are progressing and how the program is going. That's kind of a very radical approach for, collegiate level. Typically, you would tell the parents to shoot, go away, let them grow up. But she's seen over the last 2 years, because of impacts of the pandemic, that she needs to engage the parents even more. And so we always invite parents back throughout the 4 years to engage with the students in various programs or initiatives that we are sponsoring at the institution. And at Montclair State, it was a very different philosophical approach to parental involvement. I always believe, from a philosophical standpoint, that you need that whole community to really support students to and through the university. But our prior leadership had a very hard-nosed stance that there was a separation. These students were young adults, and that they needed to learn how to advocate for themselves, and that if parents were going to be engaged, that the student needed to invite them into the engagement. I think it's a missed opportunity, because I think the more that you engage the parents, not only are you going to, I think, increase philanthropic opportunities, but I think you create a support system around the students that actually promotes more success.
Thank you, Dr. Hood. I'm pretty sure you all can agree that since the pandemic has started, we have seen, especially through news outlets, if you all haven't witnessed this in your home with K through 12 students, that education is most certainly a community effort. However, that's even more so true with higher education students, where parents and guardians can actually see where their money is going to with their students. So I think that is great. A community perspective is really important. Next question. How do you all collaborate and or partner with resources on campus that could benefit students? Is there any information provided to them that will help them better prepare students from different backgrounds?
I can jump in. I will say that our campus partners are typically debriefed on the various identities of our students prior to meeting them. Historically, UNC Summer Bridge program started over 40 years ago to serve as a recruitment and retention tool for Black and American Indian students. So that history is important for them to know, and especially since we're a PWI and we're continuing to be a very minority heavy population in Summer Bridge. So I always share that history, always share what the demographics of our group look like, and also just generally answer any questions about previous years, what I've learned since being in the role as far as engaging the students. Can you please do an activity with them and not just talk to them in the lecture hall? They'll get plenty of that in the fall. So please, let's do something fun and engaging. It's also really hot and students have been walking around campus everywhere. So trying to remind them to give a little grace also that, these students just graduated high school. Some of my students are graduating high school tomorrow and then moving into summer bridge on Tuesday. Some students aren't moving in for summer bridge until Thursday or Friday of next week because it overlaps with their high school graduation ceremonies. So I just try to remind them. A lot of times, some of the folks that we are working with have been in higher ed so long, and I worked in a high school previously, that they forget this is a pivotal moment and what the students are stepping out of in that high school place and stepping into here in the college realm. So I just try to say, hey, they're a little tired. Give them a little grace. We've already told them not to take a nap during your session or anything like that. But if you could move them around a little, that would be really helpful. And then we also just have like general statistics of like first gen identity, how many students in our group self-identify as like low income or high need. So we try to give them a full picture in the background before they meet with our students, just to make it as smooth as possible and as welcoming as possible when our students do meet with them.
If I may, Dr. Tijerina from Loreto College, what we do in the summer bridge is that we'll expose them to scavenger hunts where and they get to explore the different services side. So they get a scenario and they have to identify where that service would be out at. And so all these activities exposes them to the actual location as well as the campus tour that they take a lot of time to talk about the basic needs that may come up, because as I mentioned earlier, it's not just academics. Definitely we have a Palomino pantry where our food, if they need clothes for interviews, whatever the case may be, here's your center. We also, the Career and Transfer Center, where they help them with resume building, interviewing skills. Again, just trying to identify all the basic needs that a student will need, not just before, but during, and then of course, helping them with either transferring out to another university or getting into their careers.
Thank you. And one last question. This commendable work seems to be spoken about largely as in-person delivery. Are there any ways you can use online methods or virtual learning and/or engagement for your programs? And can you offer suggestions or experiences from schools trying to serve mostly online students with similar intentions about orienting and supporting students at the beginning of their learning journey?
And all of us are like slightly smiling because we know we've all had to do this over the past couple of years due to COVID and the pandemic. I will jump in and say the transition to online delivery of the Summer Bridge program was a tough one to make, because a large part of the benefit from my vantage point of the program is being on the campus and being in person with peers. However, I think that there are still lots of benefits to that online environment. What we tried to focus on was, instead of engaging the whole cohort at all times like we do in-person programming, we tried to be more intentional with engaging students in their specific classrooms, their specific major or minor interests, and like on-campus engagement opportunities. So our students built connections in groups of like 10 instead of across the whole cohort of 50. I personally do still prefer the in-person delivery format. I think the best thing you can do as far as delivering a program like this online is make sure your faculty are engaging, and we did everything we could to make it accessible. So some students we provided, internet access to. I mentioned already North Carolina is fairly rural. I'm at my parents' house in the most rural county in the state. So I apologize if my internet has gone out at any time, but we got hotspots and sent them out to students. And I just was really flexible because everybody was going through so much. That being rigid and tough and set to an agenda would have not helped anyone. So I really just tried to meet students where they are, was really flexible, and just wanted them to, be intentional about digging into the summer, even online, to pull out whatever resources they could.
I would follow up and say that I think you need to be, I think if you're serving a student that is going to be a residential student in the fall or in the regular academic year, I think it would be a major mistake to bridge them through a virtual online platform, because you, as Victoria stated, you're going to lose the essential component of the program, which is really around building that community and that cohort of students that are gonna be their support system. I've seen that these people that participate in our bridge program at North Carolina Central, they become lifelong friends. And that becomes their friend group, their core friend group. They develop other friends once the other 1,000 students get there, but that is their core friend group that I see them now when I get invited to weddings and to master's and doctoral graduations. I'm seeing some of these same summer bridge students show up at these events. And so I think you would miss that. I think that if you are going to design a virtual option for students that are going to be majority or fully online, then I think I would really engage my Center for Teaching and Learning or my online operation, whatever that is at your campus, to make sure that you're using the Quality Matter designs or whatever comparable best practice model you're using at your campus, but to ensure that those elements are present and that you are designing the program that is using the best practices for online learning. That would be my perspective.
And I agree with everything Victoria and David have mentioned. For us, it's identifying the appropriate strategies and tools, right? So we also use Quality Matters for online. But right before the pandemic, it was interesting. We had just gotten into the ACAO Digital Fellows with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and it was about adding adaptive software into courses. And if you don't know about that, those are really neat tools. So I think technology is here to stay, but it's how efficient we can use so that in the classroom, you can start benefiting more on the hands-on case scenarios, learning experience that you don't gain in an online experiment. So I think it's just the tools, and our faculty knows every discipline has different tools that can reiterate. I know math tends to use a lot of Pearson products, but and some to a certain extent science as well. But then you know, other disciplines in the social sciences, they use a different tool. So I think it all comes down to the respective tool and in the discipline to reinforce the content that's being taught in the classroom. So I don't think technology is going to go away. I think it's just going to be a supplement to enhance the learning. I mean, I'm not talking about an online course. That's a different matter.
Dr.
Thank-
Kelly, I wanted to jump in really quickly.
Yes.
We missed a question early, and it was really talking about the funding, which was that other question that we had built in. But quickly, I wanted to just speak to it. At North Carolina Central University, it costs the university about $400,000 to run the summer part of the program each year. About $300,000 of that, this was in 2018 when I left, about $300,000 of that was used to fund instructor salaries, peer mentor salaries, tuition, housing, and board, the meal plan. The other $100,000 was used to fund our, all the swag, the trips, buses, the end of the year cultural excursion that they went on, hotel rooms, all of that. So it was a relatively inexpensive program. When you think of most ROI models say that for every 100 students that you retain, that's about $1 million in revenue that the institution is getting. So for this program, they're getting almost they're getting all of their money back plus some, because we retain these students at 3 times the rate that the institution retains its students. So it's a very highly effective retention, and now it's proven to be a highly effective graduation, because at North Carolina Central, we are currently graduating 62% of our participants in 4 years, where the institution is only graduating 27% of its students in 4 years.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Hood. And again, thank you to our panelists, Dr. Tiarina and Victoria as well. This was a very enriching conversation today, and I'm pretty sure that you all learned a lot, as much as I did as a former participant in the Summer Bridge program. And I hope this will encourage you all to continue to move the work forward for Summer Bridge. Just a few reminders before you all go about the programming and webinars and future webinars that we have coming up from the Hunt Institute. You can tune in with us June 16th, that's a Thursday, as we'll be discussing homeroom with education leaders, building robust summer development opportunities for the special education workforce. The following week, we'll have early effort, strong foundations, promoting diverse and inclusive preschool settings, so starting early there. Thursday will be our race and education webinar, promoting diverse school leader pathways and support. And lastly, for July, with post-secondary pathways, exploring state funding for higher education in the fiscal year of 2021. I hope you all enjoyed this webinar just as much as I did, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day.